Today is the first of a two-day APC presidential primary seeking exercise. It's going to be one of those rolling kind of stories where, as it's happening, we'll be letting you know. They have not been able to reach a consensus yet exactly on what is the methodology to go. Will it be a consensus candidate? Are we going to hear that very, very shortly, that the APC leaders have come together and have decided with the candidates that they are going to present a consensus candidate? Or shall it be that we shall actually be going to the field for voting, so to speak? These are some pictures. These are pictures here, and as I was saying, our man Demola Lawrence is in Abuja, and as soon as feasible, as soon as possible, he'll be telling us what the stage of the arrangements, what stage it is at the moment, and when it is expected that this will actually take off. It depends on how it goes. If it's going to be, if a consensus is agreed upon, I don't know, it might well be that tomorrow won't be necessary anymore. But if that is not the case, then it has been arranged that we shall indeed, go into a second day and do the needful.
And tonight, consultative meeting this evening. You have met. I'm going to start with the inner part of it. Take your news. And after, there will be the topic part of the evening.
So we're just showing you some earlier pictures yesterday. I don't know, that probably was yesterday for sure. As I said, Aman Demola Lawrence is in Abuja at Eagle Square, as indeed is our guest this morning, Dr. Tunji Abayomi. We're just, those gremlins, they visit us from time to time, and it's happened again today. Our man Demola Lawrence, as I've been saying all morning, is actually standing by in Abuja at Eagle Square. So we can cross over to Demola now. Good morning, Demola. Okay.
Yeah, good morning, Yori.
Great to see you. It's a bit empty, but that's to be expected, looking at everything, looking at your background. So just give me a rundown on what you expect today. When is it going to start properly?
Is accreditation of journalists. But before I go there, of course, Square. Federal Secretariat, there's a lot of security around there. And don't also forget, today is a working day, a Monday for that matter. So there is definitely the challenge of where traffic will be around this particular area. So coming into the Eagle Square was a bit of challenge to get into this particular arena where, of course, the APC presidential primaries will be taking place. And one of the things that, of course, what happened, like I said earlier, is the accreditation of journalists will be starting today, and a whole lot of activities would actually start from tomorrow, according to what the schedule that we saw earlier yesterday. So the voting and, of course, the accreditation of delegates will definitely start tomorrow. Nothing, so to say, will happen today. Probably what we're talking about, the committee that is saddled with the response primaries to happen tomorrow will of course come in to make sure that things are in top gear. You can see, definitely you can see around here, the atmosphere is of course getting set up. Look, if you look at there is a state box already where the president will stay, and that state box, of course, other party leaders of the APC will also be staying there, and of course the different delegates having the fate of who becomes the presidential candidate of the All Progressive Congress. So it's going to be a bit of activities coming starting from tomorrow. Of course, the foundation is laid down to today, so we are gearing up to that time. By 8th of June, of course, we'll know who will be the presidential candidate of the All Progressive Congress. And
indeed, as you say, the planning now, it's what is Monday, Tuesday. That is today and tomorrow. That's the plan. Yeah. If, for instance, I mean, now we're just being theoretical. If, for instance, it suddenly was heard that the APC has agreed on a consensus candidate, would tomorrow still be necessary?
Okay, so of course, if you look at what President Muhammadu Buhari in the last couple of days have been talking about, meeting with the governors of the ruling All Progressive Congress, meeting with the different aspirants, and of course, one message is very clear for him. Even as at yesterday, where he met with the leaders of the APC, the likes of Baba Bisi Akonde and of course Oshoba and the national chairman of the APC, one of the things is very clear for the president. They must rally around one particular candidate that will flag the party's flag for the 2023 election. But Yori, this is where the challenge is. When you say a consensus candidate, if all the aspirants have agreed, if for example they have agreed to go to the poll and test their popularity, I think it's not a bad contest. It's not a bad thing for them to do. No, going to the polls and test the popularity, it becomes it gives credence exactly to democracy. Let me give you a breakdown of what we are expecting tomorrow. So you're looking at the statistics. The delegates are coming from a different location. I'm talking about first the highest is of course Northwest, which have 558 delegates that will be coming from the Northwest. You have Kano, Kaduna, and of course Katsina from that route. And Kano, of course, has 130. And 11, you talk about Lagos with 60, and then Oyo with the highest with 90 delegates. Then you go to Southeast, which is of course has the smallest of all the delegates that will be happening to actually vote. And you have 200. So with Imo Rada with 81. Then you go to South, who has 372. So it's going to be very, very difficult for you to say that you want to have these kind of things happening. Everybody wants to go to the poll, test their popularity, and of course, if they fail, they know they failed woefully, and if they win, of course, they win. There will definitely be a winner that will emerge from that contest.
Indeed. Now, I want to thank you, Demola, and while I'm at it, let me also apologize to our viewers because your audio kept dropping out of all times when you were giving us statistics, and so it's like we would have heard some of it and not the others. But I'm sure that we'll connect again and all of this information will come through, seamlessly. But thank you very much, Demola, all the same, for, doing the good work that you're doing. Okay, I'm now going to try and connect with Dr. Tunji Abayomi, constitutional lawyer and APC chieftain. I don't know if I can do that straight away, but we are finally here. Dr. Tunji Abayomi, a constitutional lawyer, APC chieftain. We've finally been able to link up with him. He's in his office. Good morning to you, Dr. Abayomi.
Good morning, Mr. Falani.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much.
Good morning from Abuja.
Indeed. Now, here we are, the first day of the primaries. I imagine you're going to be at Eagle Square yourself today, maybe tomorrow. Maybe tomorrow will be necessary.
Yeah.
What do you think about the whole question of how to go within the APC in terms of coming up with a presidential candidate? Is it a consensus, or is going to the field to vote more likely? What's the view you have?
I think most people, including me, are disposed to a free primary that reflects the norms of democracy. That means that we should allow competition and political rivalry and allow the people to make a decision among the aspirants and contestants. I'm against consensus personally, because it defeats the constant experience or an experimentation about our democracy.
What, Dr. Abayomi, do you make of all the rumors floating around? I mean, of course, rumors should normally instantly be dismissed, but they do seem sort of persistent. You've been hearing, no doubt, you've told us where you stand on it, and that you prefer that we actually went to the, we actually voted. But you've been hearing about offers or demands to step down or not step down. These have been denied constantly. What do you make of all of that? How important is it? How significant is it? Are talks still ongoing to arrive at some sort of a resolution as to how to do this in line with what the president said? Let's get somebody who can actually deliver our victory for the third time straight.
Well, my view about this is that the best candidate may not necessarily be the most outstanding candidate in the view of the leadership. The best candidate is a candidate that is selected by the people, as I believe it's their prerogative to constitute leadership over themselves. For me personally, and I'm talking as a personal choice now, I believe when we look at the challenges of Nigeria and the capacity of the aspirants and the experience, I'm talking of past experiences, I'm convinced that in a free and fair election, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu is going to emerge. So in terms of stepping down or not stepping down, stepping aside or stepping out of the way, I do not consider those material. Whether somebody steps down or he doesn't step down, we should allow democracy to take its course and let a candidate emerge who is going to compete with the other political party, so that this nation will have a president.
At least APC seems to have, the president seems to be in agreement for the office to be zoned to the south. Immediately we've had some youths protesting that they had been betrayed. This no doubt was following consultation and perhaps advice from 11 northern governors. But some youths from Kano, according to newspapers, are saying that they feel betrayed and that they've been taken out of the the reckoning. Your thoughts on this? If youths are protesting against the wisdom of the president and the governors?
First and foremost, no youth from Kano is aspiring to be president of Nigeria. Secondly, constitutionally, I think the Constitution excludes youths from becoming president of Nigeria, you have to be at least 40 years old to be able to run for the president of Nigeria. Secondly, the internal dynamics of political party often require the jigging and the rejigging of personalities, of principles for purposes of winnability and the security of the politics of a nation. I have made this very clear that the Constitution focuses on citizenship and our Nigerianity, not ethnics or religion or region. But if we want to go by strict legalism, we may run into problems in a multi-ethnic nation. In this nation, we have nations of peoples. And even in advanced nations, we have what is called affirmative action in order to care for the interests of other people, in order to have balance of justice. So I see nothing wrong in zoning the presidency to the south, just as I see nothing wrong in zoning it to the north when the current president became president. I was there in Lagos when we had to reach that conclusion to ensure that a northern candidate emerged as president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. So treating equals equally is more favorable to justice.
First of all, Dr. Abayomi, returning to the matter of consensus for a moment, your position, which you've expressed that you're not really one for consensus, it's at variance with that of the president, who last night we believe was actually pushing for a consensus. What do you say about this, being at variance with the president and the leader of your party?
My problem with consensus is usually it leaves unexpressed internal dissatisfaction and injury on the consenting parties. And I'm of the view that the president should be careful lest he's accused of pushing people against their wish. But if we go on the field of competition and voting, then what we're going to have is that the loser will lose fairly and the winner will win justly. And when that happens, there is less dissatisfaction if the election is free and fair.
Okay.
I have participated in elections and I know that there is less dissatisfaction when democratic competition is allowed to decide the winner and the loser. So I'm against consensus.
Okay.
Personally.
The way you've explained it, it seems, it stands to reason. So what do you think is the reason for, one, a seeming reluctance to go to the field in your party? And this is when you put it against a backdrop of one of the contestants, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, who, by all indications, seems beleaguered right now, almost as if there were forces working against him. So why do you think there is the seeming reluctance to just do what you said, go straight ahead, let there be an open vote, and, Asiwaju has said this in the past, let the better man win. And he has said that should anybody come from such a process, he would support such a person. Why do you feel there's a reluctance?
Well, I think the concern is the fear of disorder and the uncertainty about this disposition of human beings. We're also in a sort of uncertain times. You can obviously see what has happened in Ondo State, where some mad human beings went to the church and attacked innocent citizens that are worshiping their God. I mean, godless human beings. So it is normal that the head of the government and the head of the party, the president, would want to reduce rivalry, unpredictable rivalry in the situation we are. But I think that we should work and do more to secure order that will allow free competition instead of working hard to deny free competition because of fear of disorder. So my view is that effort should be made to strengthen democracy through competition of aspirants and interests. And whosoever wins, wins, in my view. And whosoever loses, loses, but democratically and justly and fairly.
The president seems to be going out of his way to say, look, even though I've mooted the idea that, please, I should be allowed to have a hand in the selection of my successor, he still is not yet, I don't believe that he has yet mentioned who his preferred candidate is, which he told us, I think, back in January, that he had in mind but would not mention yet. So now we've come to where we are. The president is going out of his way to make sure that everybody understands that it's not exactly me laying down the law. I am consulting widely, with all factors, all interested, with all groups. Arguably, the president could himself be actually aiming for exactly what you've said, which is to have an ordered, compact, manageable event, and that will happen when the number of contestants are reduced. I would imagine it's going to be a lot easier, and it will take a shorter time. Does that make any difference?
Well, the contestants, if we were to go by the report of the screening committee, contestants have been reduced to 13. And the voters are also considerably reduced, because we are talking of just 3 delegates from 774 local governments, and we are talking of a little less than 3,000 voters. So I'm of the view that we could manage it, and we should be able to manage that as a party and as a nation and as a government. In terms of the president selecting or pointing to a particular person, if I were president, I would not do that. If I have interest in a particular candidate or aspirant, in a particular aspirant, I will give private support, not a public support. Because it is not part of the qualification to become president of Nigeria, that the outgoing president should put in support for any particular candidate. The president has only one vote, like I have one vote. And I think it is important for us to respect that.
Yeah, but the president did sort of recall that it's become something of a practice, a convention, shall we say, in APC, and that has been allowed. Governors, for instance, if you're a first-time governor, we read that you are allowed to, have a candidate and, put him up and all of that. And if you're a second-time candidate, the privilege is also extended to you. You can promote somebody. So it's like, okay, if we do that for our governors, that was used as a rationale for the president's position, which is not exactly popular with everybody, but at least that was the rationale. So look, if it's good for that particular goose, why not for this gander?
Well, yes, there's a point in that, but the question is it actually appropriate? Is it proper? It is necessary for the governors to do that. And the problem of that is that we may find a situation where, because of influence, we impose on the people unpopular candidates, unpopular with the people, but acceptable to the leadership. And you know that I have always maintained that democracy is government of the people, by the people, and for the people, not government of leaders, by leaders, and for the benefit of leaders. I think we need to strengthen the right of our people to choose who they want. In this regard, we also need to reduce the use of money, because this money is always available to leaders who go about buying the people instead of allowing them to think and reflect on what is best, what is most conducive for them, and the candidate that is best, that will best serve their interest. There's so much preoccupation of money by big people, polluting the entire enterprise.
Well, Dr. Abayomi,
and disallowing the people to think properly.
Okay, Dr. Abayomi, we have to close it now, but I wanted to ask you, in your view, what is the state of readiness of your party for this all-important event kicking off today?
We are very, very ready. I can tell you that. Very, very ready. I went around last night, particularly to talk to a few delegates and see their thinking, and those who don't want to support my candidate. I wanted to know why. So I tried I opened their eyes. You know what I mean? So we are very, very ready. And I believe very, very I'm convinced that my candidate, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, will become the candidate of, he deserves to be. And I believe he will be.
Well, thank you.
We are ready, prepared.
Thank you very much, Dr. Tunji Abayomi, constitutional lawyer and APC chieftain. We finally got to speak with you, after a lot of, hooplas. Thank you very much, Dr. Abayomi. Okay.
Thank you,
okay.
Mr. Folani. Appreciate it.
Okay, then. So that's our program today, then. It was what it was, and therefore we don't have the time for our usual practice of getting you to also join us from home. Tomorrow will be different, touch wood. Thank you for staying with us. Join us tomorrow for a fresh edition. I'm Yori Folani. Bye-bye for now.